We back like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl with episode 2 of the DraftKings Life Podcast. I'm Jason Jones, Senior Recruitment Marketing Specialist, and I'm joined by the one and only Meg Powers, Talent Acquisition Specialist. What up, Meg?
Oh, just freezing my butt off in upstate New York per usual. I feel like our listeners are probably getting whiplash from my travels back and forth, but I swear it's every few months. It just sounds like I'm back and forth every week. Other than that, I'm pretty good. How are you, Jonesy? Gearing up for the Super Bowl?
I'm good, Meg. Yes, I am, but the Northeast is getting slammed with a lot of snow, so I may be tuning up the snowboard and hopefully heading up north for a trip. So I'm excited for that. Are you making any good appetizers or anything like that? Because if so, where's my invite?
You want to travel up to upstate New York for skiing?
Not at all.
I think so. I mean, I'm a fan of the Super Bowl for a few reasons, but most of them involve food. So I think I'm gonna do a little feta block situation, try to recreate one from committee that I haven't gotten in so long.
Love committee. Oh.
I know, I miss it. Other than that, though, enough about me and food. Do you want to tell our listeners about who we have on this week and why this month is important?
Yes. So in honor of Black History Month, we are thrilled to welcome Bianca Sullivan, Inclusion, Equity, and Belonging Specialist to the pod. Before we get to the interview, we have some exciting DK news and hot jobs to share.
Hot jobs.
We have some hot jobs to warm us up this week, huh, Meg? The job that I like to highlight this week is a database engineering manager to work in our Boston office. This role will be leading a talented group of engineers and is pivotal in the development and growth of the database function. People management required, and ideally 5 years of experience.
Love it. The job I am going to feature happens to be another one of mine. I swear I'll start sharing other recruiters' jobs soon. Until then, the talent management team is looking for an organizational effectiveness lead to help us accelerate the pace of our integration and improve the effectiveness of our global company. The ideal candidate has 7+ years of experience, Boston-based. Apply online or direct message me on LinkedIn.
Sounds like a great role. Am I qualified?
No. No. Okay.
DraftKings Now pregame report.
The DraftKings Now pregame report is back to give you exciting company updates and keep you in the know with all things DraftKings. I know we promised an exciting IEB update, so we shall deliver.
The company recently announced internally that they will be giving employees Juneteenth and International Women's Day off as DraftKings holidays. Keep listening to this episode to learn more.
The Charlotte Hornets have named DraftKings as the exclusive official daily fantasy sports partner of the franchise. As part of the collaboration, the Hornets and DraftKings plan to develop a free-to-play Hornets-themed predictive game that will integrate within the team's mobile app.
We are thrilled to welcome Bianca Sullivan, Inclusion, Equity, and Belonging Specialist to the pod.
Hello, Bianca. Thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell our listeners a little bit more about what you do at DraftKings, your title, all that good stuff.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bianca Sullivan, and I am an Inclusion, Equity, and Belonging Specialist here at DraftKings, and I joined the team in September of 2020.
Awesome. I know.
Welcome.
Time has flown, huh?
Thanks.
You're a vet.
Well, we normally start this out by just asking you how you're doing. 2020 has been a pretty crazy year, and 2021 is not all of a sudden magically fixed. So how are you doing given the current state of the world?
I'm hanging in there. I think 2020 was definitely a tough year for everyone in terms of just adjusting in all ways, but just feeling really optimistic about 2021. I think we started off with a little bit of a hangover, if I am to say, but I think that we are off to a good start. So really hopeful about this year.
Agreed.
Me too. Yeah, I hope. Very hopeful. Great. Well, I know we had Vanessa on a while back, if our listeners have checked that out, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about your IEB work at DraftKings. Tell us a little bit more about what you do. Did you always know you wanted to work in this field? Kind of just give us a basic overview.
Cool. So in terms of IEB, or I guess I'll start with my specific role and then how I got into it. So as an IEB specialist, my main responsibilities are to oversee and create programming for our business resource groups that are global. We have 3 right now: DK Shades, DK Women's BRG, and we also have DK Pride. Another part of my responsibility is to assist in expanding our partnerships with different nonprofit organizations and universities that align with our IEB strategy. And lastly is really just to empower our employees to show up to work as their authentic self by having uncomfortable conversations with everyone.
Nice.
And the second part of your question was, how did I get into IEB, the IEB space as a whole? And for me, growing up as a kid in Boston, I've always relied on nonprofit organizations. So it's always been top of mind for me because I relied on these orgs to give me access to different resources. And as an adult, I've just done my part in paying it forward by volunteering. So I do coach with Harlem Leadership Lacrosse when I have time now. I am a mentor with Minds Matter Boston, which is a college access readiness program for high school students. And not currently, but I was hosting panels at low-income Boston public schools, just showing kids what representation looks like for people of color across all industries. So I think IEB has been something that's, I've been involved in for a really long time. I just think 2020 kind of amplified the importance of these efforts.
What don't you do? You just rattled off a bunch of cool initiatives. Like, I lost track.
So I do a lot. And I think what I really love about this role is that it allows me to do a lot of the side nonprofit work I was doing full time. Because at one point it was just like juggling 3 roles at once. So being able to do all of that here at DraftKings it's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. And we're thankful to have you here. So nice. So what type of impact has our business resource groups, as we call BRGs internally, had at DraftKings?
To be honest with you, I think the BRGs have done a really good job cultivating the culture here at DraftKings, especially with us having the global imprint. I think that they've done just a really good job at bringing people together, creating safe spaces for diverse thought to be accepted and supported. I think that's a huge advancement of the groups. And I think overall, the groups really do serve as a change agent for marginalized communities, giving everyone a voice to, have a seat at the table and talk about what's really going on without being judged. In addition to educating the business on the importance of diversity, I think we can always have these smaller conversations as a group, but it's not really meaningful unless everyone in the business is involved.
So Bianca, what are some of our efforts that you and the team are cooking up for Black History Month?
So for Black History Month, we have quite a few things in the pipeline. We are starting off with the Buy Black February Challenge. And the purpose of that is to encourage employees to shop at Black-owned businesses throughout the month of February. So we've created a catalog of businesses for our employees to use across all of our geographies. And we're asking for them to upload receipts into our internal system. And that way we can keep that accountability factor. And the purpose is just to not have our employees buy at these Black-owned businesses during the month of February, but, throughout the year, and just, creating visibility. So the same way that voices can support these efforts, so can the dollar. In addition to the Buy Black February, we're also kicking off our board speaker series with our newest members of our board of directors. And the purpose is just to give our employees the chance to meet with our new board members to find out more about their career path, their long-term goals for DraftKings, and really why they chose DraftKings. I think a lot of people have been curious about our new board, and this just gives them a great opportunity to interact with them. And the last thing that we're doing for Black History Month is we are working with an organization named Triluna, and we are hosting a workshop on handling stress management through mindful meditation. And the purpose is to just break down stress from the nervous system, and just give employees tips and tricks on how to navigate that through different breathing exercises and journaling. So that wraps it up for Black History Month.
That's cool. And are there any other initiatives coming up, maybe in March and June?
Yeah. So at the beginning of the year, which is actually really exciting, DraftKings added a few new holidays to our calendar year. We have added International Women's Day in March. We've also added Juneteenth, and Election Day will also be a DK holiday going forward. So definitely excited about those advancements. And a lot of them, or almost all of them, have been based off of, conversations that we've been having with our business resource groups.
That's really great progress to see DraftKings staying on the precipice of just being progressive and pushing and trying to change for good. So that's awesome.
Yeah. It can be one thing to say it and, do all these things, but to take initiative and give those days to the communities that, should be celebrating them. And it's really special. So I'm super excited about it.
And actually, Meg, good transition to the next question. Bianca, what is DraftKings' approach to inclusion, equity, and belonging?
Great transition. So for the IEB team, we have our strategy that we go by, and it's called the Hire, Wire, Empower, and Sustain approach. And I can break that down into 4 different buckets. So for the hire component, just really focusing on hiring the best and most diverse talent in the market. The wire bucket is to really ensure that we are helping our employees succeed by making sure that our policies and our partnerships are aligned with the inclusive nature that we are trying to gear our business towards. And empower, the third bucket. With empowerment, we'd love for our employees to target specific opportunities to ensure that we are achieving parity across the organization. And the last bucket, sustain, is to ensure that our efforts are enabling us to make data-informed decisions based on research to resolve for systemic causes.
Let's go back to your collegiate athletic days. I know I was excited to find out that you were a lacrosse player. I grew up in a lacrosse family. Unfortunately, I'm not as gifted of an athlete as you probably are and the rest of my family, but how did you get into lacrosse? What was that experience like, and at an historically Black college as well?
Love that you are from a lacrosse family. Huge fan of that.
Oh yeah.
I played 2 once back in the day, but I wasn't good. So.
What?
It doesn't matter.
Thanks. Thanks for the support, but good. Sorry.
So lacrosse is an awesome sport. I started playing lacrosse in 5th grade with an organization named Metro Lacrosse. And I learned how to play lacrosse because I was going to the Blue Hill Boys and Girls Club at the time. And at the Boys and Girls Club, in terms of after school activities, we just had the gym and the game room. And in the gym, there's just the basketball court. And I've always been terrible at basketball. So I wasn't doing that. So when Metro Lacrosse came in, their whole purpose was to introduce inner city kids to the sport of lacrosse. So I was pumped that a different organization was coming in. So every time they came in, I was always doing the clinics and the workshops, and I just really fell in love with the sport. So I sticked with it, and I played lacrosse all throughout my senior year of college, high school, and then I went on to play D1 Lacrosse at Howard University.
I was going to say, it's just funny how you and I both started with Metro Lacrosse, because that's how I got introduced into lacrosse, is through this really dope inner city program. So that was all. Small world.
I love it. I think that at the time, growing up, I remember Metro Lacrosse just did a great job kind of taking over the community. I think any kid in the city that you saw with a lacrosse stick, you kind of knew that they were a part of Metro Lacrosse, which was really cool to see.
Yeah.
But I played lacrosse at Howard, and that was an incredible experience. Howard is actually has the first women's D1 program for a historically Black college, and that was founded in 1998. So really huge to be a part of such a historic program. And I think going to an HBCU, if I'm to break that down, that stands for Historically Black Colleges and Universities. That was just a really cool experience. I mean, every team that we were playing against, none of them looked like us. And I think that was kind of the best part of it. I think lacrosse is a very non-traditional sport for kids that grow up in the city. I think with that challenge is always something that has driven me. So I'm still involved in the sport to this day. As much as I can, I will hop in and coach with Metro Lacrosse is no longer around now, but Harlem Leadership in Lacrosse for sure. And I just encourage any kids when they are looking to join a sport, I'm usually pushing for lacrosse.
How many goals have you scored in your career? What are your stats?
So I don't actually have those because I'm washed up and I play defense.
I
Defense wins
you
championships.
I knew you were a defender somehow. I used to play defense too. I had a feeling. Love
defense
that.
wins games.
Cool.
Yeah, there we go.
So this is just a sly way of getting you to tell us about the award you received last month. But can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm a part of an organization named WISE, and that stands for Women in Sports and Entertainment. WISE is a national organization, and they have different local chapters. In the local chapter, they award 2 women a year. They give out a Woman of Inspiration Award, and they also give out a Rising Star Award. And I was the recipient of the Rising Star Award. And the award essentially is given to a person who personifies drive, no matter the obstacles, and just really navigating, employment during a pandemic. I think that was a huge achievement. So really, really grateful to receive that award from such a just established, well-known organization like WISE.
Congrats.
And attending, the event, your acceptance speech was, like snaps to that. Your acceptance speech was just outstanding. So no one better than yourself to win the award. So congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So before we get into the lightning round, what advice do you have for anyone looking to land their dream job at DraftKings?
Good question. To be honest with you, I think that DraftKings is accessible to anyone. I think regardless of your race, gender, or if you're interested in sports, you really don't have to like sports in order to work at DraftKings. DraftKings is a really fast-paced company. I think that news breaks like hourly. And no day is the same day. And I think that if you are down for that lifestyle and you're interested in the company, then you should absolutely join our team.
Love it. That's what you'll hear a lot on this podcast. Like, no day is the same. It really isn't. And that's why people keep coming back, because it's interesting to work here and have all these new challenges. So thank you for going through all these questions with us. It's so cool to hear about your experience, and time does fly. I know you've only been here for a short amount of time, but really, really great. So we are going to transition into the lightning round.
Lightning round.
This is a 2-minute drill where we will ask you questions to get to know more about you, your life, experiences. Jonesy's going to set a timer for us, and we can just jump right in.
Let's do it.
Good to go. Who or what inspires you every day?
My family.
One person, dead or alive, you'd have dinner with.
Usain Bolt.
Last book or podcast you'd recommend?
The book would be The Subtle Art of Not, it has a curse word in there, by Mark Manson.
Okay. Favorite mobile app?
Grammarly.
Favorite quarantine hobby?
Drinking water.
Who's your biggest inspiration? Oh, we asked that. It's your family.
My
I
mom.
already know this. Oh, but your mom. What's your guilty pleasure?
Chips.
Chips. What's one meal you could eat every day for the rest of your life?
Tacos.
Good. Favorite mobile app?
Apple Wallet.
Who or what inspired you to play D1 Lacrosse?
Metro Lacrosse.
Last album or song on repeat?
Meek Mill, Dreams and Nightmares.
Good. Spotify, Apple Music, or Tidal?
Definitely Spotify.
Any hidden talents?
I can kind of sort of build a website.
Love your confidence. Dream job when you were a kid?
I wanted to be an international lawyer.
If you had to choose truth or dare?
Truth.
Last question. Stranded on a desert island and you can only bring one item. What is that item?
A book.
Nice. Is it the one that you recommended up top? But
Yep.
not giving?
Thank you
Well
so much
done.
for going through that. I
You
love
crushed
your
that.
answers. The lawyer one, that's interesting. Why did you give up on your dream?
To be honest with you, I went to school and wanted to be a lawyer up until my sophomore year. International, I've always been really big into politics. My family is from Jamaica, so we were always involved with like immigration and things of that nature. And man, I had to sit in a courtroom for class, and that it was so boring. And that from there, I just realized that it really wasn't for me. I could do other efforts in terms of like philanthropy work for like different communities, but I definitely didn't want to take that on full time.
Awesome.
Wow.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah. And before we close out today, Bianca, what's a motto or mantra that you live by every day?
Definitely, if you do not have a seat at the table, bring a folding chair.
Oh, that's good. That's powerful. Meg, Meg, your reaction, what, mind blown? That was great. That was great. Thank you, Bianca. And thank you for joining us today. And be sure to follow us on social media at DraftKings Life. This podcast is available on all major podcast platforms. So Apple, Spotify, Google, we got you. Be sure to download, listen, and even throw us a 5-star rating. Until next time, be safe, be kind, and take care.